Welcome to the Hidden Palace with Skyblaze.
Good morning, afternoon, evening or night, wherever you are in the world. I am Skyblaze and this is the Hidden Palace here on Radio Sega. So, back again at my new time of 9 PM on a Saturday night. And this time I'm going to be talking about an innovation of Sega's that was a bit ahead of its time. That seems to happen a lot to Sega. Does anyone else notice that? So, Sega created a thing called SEGA Channel in the 1990s, which allowed you to play games online, play demos, and get cheat codes for the Mega Drive/Genesis. Sadly, the service only lasted for around 5 years, from 1994 until 1998, and even then it wasn't available in all regions, mostly just in the US. The SEGA Channel was a cartridge adapter which was released in the US and Canada, which could connect to your cable company's coaxial cable. This provided you with 50 games per month, yes, 50, 5-0, and it did require its own power supply, but this means you get the ability to download a game to your SEGA Channel's inbuilt 4 megabytes of RAM. Unfortunately, the game would be lost if the adapter was powered off and you'd have to download it again. Whoops. One of the main criticisms of SEGA Channel was the cost of it. You had to pay an initial activation fee of $25 and then $12.95 a month. Now that doesn't sound like much to us, but if you take inflation into account, you'd actually be paying somewhere around $42.50 per month for the activation and $21.95 a month. That's quite a bit more than things like the PlayStation Network subscription or the Xbox Live subscription. However, you did get 50 games a month you could play. Now, quite a lot of them were ones that you could buy in shops in the US. There were some that were only available on SEGA Channel. And we'll talk about some of those after the musical break. Oh, there's a Nova! Hello, Nova. Haven't seen you on here in a while. And a Viper. So we've got my husband Greyfall, we've got my friend Nova, Doan, and Green Viper in the chat. Hello to you, and hello to anyone who is lurking quietly. I appreciate you listening, even if you're not in the mood to chat, that's fine. Right, so let's have some music. So from the menu screens of the SEGA Channel, there were some bits of music that would play over those. So I'm going to listen to a couple of those. So this is the main theme, I can say words, / test drives, and also Fantasyland after that. So I hope you enjoy these. I'll see you again after the break.
best Sega music, live shows, and the chance to request your favorites. This is RadioSega.net. Sega.
SEGA Channel Fantasyland, and before that it was the SEGA Channel main theme / test drives. Right, so let's talk about some of the games that were on the SEGA Channel, starting with Alien Soldier. While this was available in Japan and in PAL areas, so like the UK and much of Europe, it was only on SEGA Channel in America. In that you play Epsilon Eagle, an alien soldier who is fighting to save his planet. It has a control scheme which is pretty similar to a previous title produced by the developer Treasure, Gunstar Heroes. So you'll find that compared to Gunstar Heroes, the game puts a little bit more emphasis on boss fights, which are usually regarded to be quite challenging, instead of the emphasis being on the side-scrolling levels, as was the case in Gunstar Heroes. So the levels basically act like a breathing space between boss fights, rather than being the focus of the game. One of the interesting things about the development of this game, the lead of the project, Hideyuki Suganami, wanted to try making this game all by himself. Okay, you could do that in the early 80s, mate. By the time you got to the 90s, it was a bit tricky, especially for a console. But he actually would have managed it had it not been for a deadline that was looming closer and closer. While the game had intended on having 100 bosses, they only had time to implement 31. One of which was a modification of a boss which originally featured in Gunstar Heroes, called Seven Falls. So there you go. And people in the Discord chat are talking about how to make a 3D map for a Warhammer 40k Hive City. Alright, that veered wildly off topic after only 10 minutes. I'm very impressed by the speed at which you managed to derail things. Very good. That was astonishingly quick, well done. So I'm going to play Alien Soldier, run a S3E02. This is the in-game version, which actually appears as the background music. There is an arranged version of this track, which sounds very, very good. I'd recommend looking that up if you get the opportunity and comparing the two, because they are both pretty good in different ways. But I'm going to play the BGM version here. After that, I'm going to play some Gunstar Heroes' Last Party on the Moon. So listen to those, and I will speak to you again after the break. back. And that was Alien Soldier Runner AS 2025 and Gunstar Heroes Last Party on the Moon. And Greyfo was saying on the chat that trying to cram 100 bosses into the game as they tried to do with Alien Soldier was a bit ambitious, because it would have been essentially like beat a boss, take 3 steps forward, oh shit, there's another boss. I mean, if nothing else, the space considerations on the cartridge surely must have limited how many you could squeeze in there, and actually have it be something other than purely a boss gauntlet. Anyway, on to the next one, which a game that I have mentioned on this series before. Nightmare Circus was a game that had a limited release in Brazil in 1996 in physical form. There were plans to bring it to the US, which were cancelled in late 1995. Though while it never got a physical release in the US, it was available via the SEGA Channel from December 1996. This game has the incredibly cheerful and uplifting plot of the player taking the role of Raven, who is apparently a Native American person, who is visiting a circus which was set up in the desert, subsequently burned down by its evil git of an owner, who was apparently as part of an insurance scam. The evil git owner is called the Jester. The spirits of those who died during the fire still linger on, and it's up to the player to try and put them to rest. So, like I said, really cheerful plot. One of the interesting features of this game is the tweak mode, which allows you to adjust things such as the gravity, object speed, and number of enemies that can appear. Unfortunately, this doesn't help the game very much, because it's generally considered to be absolutely terrible. Eclipse says, Sega Channel, that means Alien Soldier is included. Yes, I literally just spoke about it, you have just missed it. Green Viper saying, I was about to ask if heard the words Alien Soldier and sprang to life. Is this like, you know, the Bloody Mary thing, where if you say Alien Soldier 3 times in a mirror, Eclipse magically appears? Is this how it works? I'm just asking. One other notable thing about Nightmare Circus was the soundtrack was composed by a guy called Kurt Harlan Larson and Jim Hedges, who also worked on the music for Soul Reaver 2. As well as Andy Armour, who helped compose music for Echo the Dolphin, The Tides of Time. So that's pretty nice. So because of this, I'm gonna play a track from, well, a remix of a track from Echo the Dolphin, Tides of Time by Sadov, one of the Medusa Vents tracks. But before that, I am going to play the sub-boss theme from Nightmare Circus. So I'm going to play that, and I will speak to you again after the break.
Listening to Radio Sega, playing the best Sega music 24/7.
And we are back. And I've just put a random picture of my Sonic-based watch face screen. I've got an LG Watch style smartwatch, and I've put a Sonic Green Hill theme on it. And taken a terrible picture of it, because my watch is on my left wrist, and I am left-handed, so holding the camera with my right hand is a bit of a pain in the backside. Anyway, that was Echo the Dolphin Tides of Time Medusa Mix from Sadorf over at OC Remix, and before that it was Nightmare Circus Sub-Boss. So, what else have we got on here? Grey Viper's saying that he's discovered a very strange thing when he's been playing the PSP re-releases of the Crash games on the PlayStation TV, which shows that they actually have proper analog support, although the official PS3 release doesn't, which is very, very odd. People are admiring my watch face. That's quite nice. Green Viper saying, I remember someone did a Mania-styled one in the run-up to release. That one had me on Amazon searching for the watch model numbers. Viper, for your further information, a lot of watch faces are actually based on an app, and they can be applied to any watch that uses the Android Wear application. And Green Viper saying, another rare I wear my watch on my writing hand person. Yeah, I know. I think it's because both my parents wear their watches on their left hands, because they're both right-handed, so I picked up the habit from them. Come to think of it, most of my grandparents did as well. Because my grandfather, where I got my left-handedness from, was forced to write and do most things with his right hand. Anyway, back to the actual topic. So next up we have Golden Axe 3, a game which was only released in Japan, although there was a SEGA Channel release in the US in 1995. It was a sequel to the previous games, although the only character from the first two that appears is Gilius Thunderhead, and he's not a playable character. The people you do get to play are a guy called Cane Grinder, who's an axe battler type, Sarah Byrne, a Tyrus Frere lookalike, a Proud Cragger, who's a giant, and a guy called Kronos Rate, who's a humanoid Black Panther? Okay. Nova Wolfen's making a Princess Bride joke about, there's something you do not know. I am not really left-handed. I actually am left-handed. So in Golden Axe 3, rather than keeping up with the changes that were made to the game formula in Golden Axe 2, they've largely reverted back to the way that it worked in the first game. So you have to beat up specific characters, the gnome-type characters, to get magic potions and food, and when you use your magic power, you use up all of the potions that you have collected at once, instead of being able to check, choose a specific level. And have I... Yeah, I've looped my music, that's fine. You also have the ability to get extra life by freeing a certain number of prisoners in each level. Final game, and this one is specifically for Green Viper, because I've seen him ranting about this when he's been posting the stuff on Twitter for this episode. Thank you very much for that, by the way. So this is Pulseman. Now, this game is sometimes immediately dismissed as a Mega Man clone, but that's actually doing it a bit of an injustice. The premise is that a guy called Doc Yoshiyama created an AI called Sea Life. As in the letter C, not like what you swim in. He fell in love with it, and then he digitized himself, like Tron. And then they had a child called Pulseman, who was half human and half AI, and could move between the real and digital worlds. Unfortunately, spending so much time in the internet/digital world corrupted Doc Yoshiyama's mind, turning him into Doc Waruyama. Huh, alright. This evil version of the Doctor has managed to bring sea life creatures into the real world and is committing cyber terrorism with his newly formed Galaxy game. So, perfectly sane and sensible and normal plotline then. So, it's a side-scrolling platform/shooter, which you have a few interesting skills such as a flash arrow, which is a long-range energy attack, Volt Tecker, which is a kind of energy spin dash, which lets you bounce off surfaces and provide momentum to reach new areas, kind of like the abilities that Samus has in Metroid. This game, interestingly enough, was developed by Game Freak, who most of you will know that name as being the creators of Pokemon. And Eclipse is saying, "Oh, Pulseman, I've definitely heard of that game." And Greyforce saying, he found his way to 4chan. And Grey Viper's correcting that to Reddit. Oh dear God. Yeah, spending too much time on the internet can do a number on your psyche. We all know this. But yeah, the problem with Pulseman is that it was only released as a SEGA Channel exclusive. There wasn't a physical release of it. Which I know some people are a bit upset about this, and to the best of my knowledge, it's not had a re-release. I could be wrong about that, please correct me if I am mistaken. Right, I am going to play some music. I'm going to play from Golden Axe 3, A Voyage to Castle. I assume that's supposed to be A Voyage to the Castle, but it's listed as A Voyage to Castle on my listings. And after that I'm going to play Pulseman Stereo Protect. So I hope you enjoy those. I'll speak to you again after the break, guys.
best Sega music, live shows, and the chance to request your favorites. This is RadioSega.net. Sega!
We are back. And that was Pulseman Stereo Protect, and before that we had Golden Axe, A Voyage to Castle, or Voyage to the Castle, possibly. Right, Viper was saying that, because there was a limited test of the SEGA Channel service in the UK during the 90s, in certain areas, one of which was Chelmsford, where Green Viper our glorious current leader happens to live. And the others were in surrounding areas of that town. It wasn't actually fully rolled out for the rest of the UK, mostly because cable wasn't widely available in the UK. It was never that popular. And by the late 90s, Sky TV satellite connections had mostly supplanted cable everywhere, so it never really had a infrastructure base to work from, which is probably why it never got to justify a full rollout in the UK. Right, so I have been playing around and digging up some new chiptunes to share with you all. This includes, I was digging through a whole bunch of files that I found from the 8-Bit Collective. It's I think it's a now defunct site, but I had a whole bunch of stuff from there. I was digging through these and I found this rather marvellous piece of chiptune work. I suspect that you will probably recognise the film soundtrack that it's based on. If somebody can tell me what the original song is called, I will give you a gold star. So here we are, and this I hope you enjoy this, and I'll speak to you again after the break, when I will tell you what I was originally going to play but decided against it. So here we go. To identify that it's the theme from The Exorcist, aka Tubular Bells. You have all failed me and none of you get gold stars. I'm thoroughly disappointed in all of you. Except possibly Greyfork, as I told him the other day. Darren's saying there's a song in Infinite Space on the Nintendo DS which has a similar sound. It's possible that they sampled it, I guess. I don't know. Anyway. And Greyfork saying I didn't take part as it would be cheating since I live with the show host. Yes, a little bit. This is why you're not allowed to take part in the quiz I do when I'm running the quiz at Winterfest. I was told that my Winterfest quiz was way too hard, by the way. Maybe you all just need to try harder. Anyway, my original plan for this week's Chiptune Corner was actually to play a chiptune version of Through the Fire and the Flames by Dragon Force, but it's over 7 minutes long. So... there you are. I might play it at some other time and cut it short, because it amuses me thoroughly. Right, so we're nearly at the end of the show, so thanks to everybody for listening. I have plans so far to cover the Naomi arcade board, and the Philips Laser Active, along with its library of Sega games and the Sega add-on pack. If you have any other ideas for topics you would like for me to cover, please get in touch. You can reach me on the Radio Sega Facebook, through Discord, where I am Skyblaze42 on the Radio Sega chat, and I'm on Twitter as @BlazingSkies, or you can use the official Radio Sega Twitter. Eclipse is saying, how long is it? Yeah, the Through the Fire and the Flames chiptune is actually 7 minutes and 19 seconds. It's insanely long. So I might have to cut that down a bit before I use it on the show. Unless I want to run long. Right, finally for tonight, everyone, when this show finishes at 10 o'clock, everybody needs to check out keep an eye on the Radio Sega social feeds for an imminent announcement and promo for the triumphant return of Saturday Night Sega, who will soon be following on from my slot on Saturday nights for a Super Sega Saturday. Now we wait for Electric Boogaloo to say that he forgot the times have changed. Yeah, I haven't seen Electric Boogaloo. Usually gets in touch to request some music, and hasn't this time. Eclipse is saying, wow, that's really long. Not to me, but that's because I'm used to prog rock tunes which last like 20 odd minutes. I don't know what to tell you. Right, so for the final track for today, I've got Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed Sanctuary Falls. So I'll play that, and you guys keep an eye on the Radio Sega Twitter and Facebook for this new announcement, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks ever so much for listening. I've been Skyblaze. This has been The Hidden Palace here on Radio Sega. Thank you very much, and good night.
Enjoyed the show? Check out the full Radio Sega live schedule at radiose.ga/shows. Radio Sega, playing the best Sega music 24/7.